Welcome to episode 2 of the new fancy Chase Jarvis Raw. Episode 2. What's in this episode? I'm not even going to tell you. You just have to watch.
You can have it.
World famous photographer Chase Jarvis.
Macklemore and Ryan.
It's PureCast exactly the way I like it. All right, welcome to episode 2. Not 1, but 2 of the new, improved Chase Jarvis Raw. And it's quite raw where I'm standing. You're probably going like, where? Well, yes, it is a construction. Actually, look at it. See, here's a construction zone. I should have a hard hat on. I'll get a cup of water. This is actually a part of we've got a refresh going on at the Creative Live in Seattle, a little construction project. So I'm in here. This should be all integrated with the rest of the building in a matter of like 6 weeks. So I'll check back and I'll give you a nice tour then. We'll show you a time lapse of some cool. But why am I standing in here? Because this is raw, and it's so raw that I just asked the Facebooks and the Twitters for questions, and I'm going to read your questions right now. Open up my phone, haven't looked at these, and there's the Facebook. It's unlikely I'm going to be able to get to 123 questions since I just asked this, but I'm going to do my very damnedest, and that's on the Facebooks, and I'll go over to the Twitters too. So, question number 1, I'm not necessarily going to go in any order. Gareth Hayes, any chance Chase Jarvis Live becoming a more regular thing? There's still lots and lots of great people for you to talk to. Excellent question, Gareth. Here's my answer. Yes, Chase Jarvis Live. It was a regular thing for 4 years, doing live internet way early. It's coming back. So hold tight. It's coming back with a new power, a new passion, and some super kick-ass guests. Very different than Chase Jarvis Raw, but don't leave me hanging here. Stay with me. Elijah, Fantasy. Tell me about your favorite visualization tools or techniques. It's a great question also. I use transcendental meditation. I meditate every day, twice a day. And I realize that that's not necessarily visualization, but I use that to get in a state that I can't actually emphasize how much value that added to my life. I've referred a lot of people to it. There's a podcast episode that Tim Ferriss talks about me wrangling his ass into meditating. It's been a game changer for me. I've been doing it for somewhere between 2 or 3 years now. I can't speak highly enough. I usually do some visualization exercises tied to that as a part of my morning routine, which I'll talk about in a different upcoming episode of Chase Jarvis Raw. Eric asks, have I ever been to Norway? Yes, I have. I did a Helly Hansen shoot in Norway and a little bit in Sweden. And it was awesome. I have a lot of Norwegian in my blood, so I'm looking forward to going back soon. Good question, Eric. Jeremy asks, Chase Jarvis, can you get the guys from Digital Rev, Kai and Locke, to come to the States? I love those guys deeply. I've been to Hong Kong a couple times and shot 2 episodes with those folks. I'm trying to get them to the States. They have an open invitation. I got a spare bedroom. Heck, they can sleep in my bed with me. And Locke and Kai, you can cut this little episode out, put it in a little like picture-in-picture, call me out and come to Seattle or San Francisco. I'll put you up. This is a challenge. Eden Chavez asks, who was your first commercial client and how did you score that job? My first commercial client, this is a long freaking time ago. I have a gray eyebrow hair. I have my first gray hair. It's an eyebrow hair that is like, seriously, every once in a while I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh my God, what's that thing that's hitting the mirror? And it's like, anyway, back before I had that gray eyebrow hair, I did a shoot for a company called Heart Skis, which doesn't even exist anymore. If you're like a freestyle mogul bumper, you remember these skis from like 90s. Anyway, and I got that because I was immersed in the ski industry. Someone who worked for Heart Skis saw that I was taking great pictures and it had their product in it, and they said, wow, wouldn't it be cool if I put you together with this athlete? So the answer is Heart Skis. The why or the how is because I immersed myself in the industry that I knew a lot about and gave me passion, and I became known as a photographer in that world. If you do those same things, you can get commercial jobs too. Anthony, what's the most appropriate and effective way to approach creative agencies about shooting for them in the future? Easy question. This is like shooting fish in a barrel. I don't like to kill things though, so that's a bad thing to say. But it's a very easy question. First of all, shoot work that you want to be hired to shoot on your own. Fund your own shoots that look exactly like if you could be hired by Sony or Samsung or Apple or Nike. Go invest your own money, practice that stuff, shoot that stuff, build a portfolio, and then shop that portfolio. Don't wait for the other way around. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to shoot the stuff that you want to shoot. You're always going to be shooting the stuff that you shot on somebody else's dime, and that's just going to perpetuate not your future, but your past. Adam Konecki asks, how are you today, Chase? It's a very unsophisticated question, Adam, but I like it. It's heartfelt, it's honest, it's real. I'm fine, thank you very much. Michael asks, why did you give up medicine to be a pro photographer? To be clear, I never gave up medicine. I hit the ripcord, the eject, the launch, the whatever. I aborted, I dropped out, I quit. Specifically because I was chasing something that somebody else wanted for me, something that not just my parents, not just my family, but I felt like what society expected of me. I literally remember asking people like, oh, what should I do when I grow up? Was you're experimenting and thinking about this as a young person. And they're like, well, you're smart, you get good grades, you're a hard worker, you should be a doctor, because that's what people who are hardworking and smart do. Be a doctor or a lawyer, you make good money. And like, literally that was the societal frame that I was given. I'm done with this water. I don't know why I still hold on to that water. And I think that's horrible. It's catastrophic. If we could change one thing with our culture, I think a great start, maybe not the end all be all, but would be encouraging people to do the thing that they love, that they feel like they were put on this earth to do. That's what I did. And believe me, I'm making it sound like it was easy. It was so hard. I spent years and years doing what other people wanted me to do. And I had to grow a pair and do a lot of soul searching in here and figure out that, A, figure out what I wanted to do, and then B, have the heart to do that thing. And I feel like I'm a very confident, hardworking person who had a lot going up, middle class upbringing. I can't say that I had this a childhood built with struggle. And it was hard for me to break through the clutter and do the thing that I was supposed to do. So for those folks who were disadvantaged, came from a single family home or a single parent home, or God, there's a million challenges. I can only imagine how hard it is. So long answer, but it was very hard for me to not pursue medicine. But dear God, if I could change one thing, I would help people find their passion. And that's what I'm doing at Creative Live. What else do I got? There's all kind. You want to fire me some, Brad?
What's the scope of what you do outside? Ski, climb, backpack? That's from Michael Query.
Hi, Michael. The scope of what I do outside is all those things. I'm an avid skier. I'm more a skier than a snowboarder, although I can do both. I can also telemark ski, but I prefer like clamp down, good old fashioned, like put your skis over your shoulder, hike uphill. I love to ski, love to hike. I've got kayaks. I love sea kayaking. I'm not doing so much climbing. I got a bad shoulder that I'm in the middle of doing a whole bunch of repair work on, not like surgical, but like ground up rebuild. Like dun, 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 dun. I got a trainer, Dave Werner. Huge shout out to Dave Werner and Level 4, or Move Skill actually is Dave's thing. Check out Move Skill. Big shout out to Dave for helping me stay fit. Keep going, Brad. A couple more. I can read, but he's on the Twitters and I'm on the Facebooks.
Carissa Carlson. What is the best advice/tips for getting out of a creative funk and pushing past limited thinking?
First of all, let me think about this so I can give the most real answer. What do I do to get out of a funk? One, I get into adventures. I stop focusing on the funk and start focusing on living, because living actually influences the things I make and do. So I like try and set the funk down and go out and live. Specifically, another thing is I go into the practice of creating, which is I literally sort of book time to be creative, and that usually over a period of time, if you're sort of, I spend an hour walking around taking pictures, sketching, painting, drawing, watching films. Those are the things that when practiced, that creativity, that just little spark that you do from actually just forcing yourself to take a picture often will create more creativity. That's a scientific fact that creativity, I think it's Mark Runkin at the University of Georgia, creativity begets creativity. What do you like most about Portugal? So I know that there's big wave surfing in Portugal, and I've seen some amazing photographs there, so I would say I like that. But speaking of Portugal and Portuguese, the man in the camera right now, Norton, speaks Portuguese. Say some Portuguese.
E aí galera, tudo bem?
I didn't know what that meant, but there you go. Speaking of Portugal, check. Hey Chase, I'm a huge fan. This is from Lorenza. Hey Chase, I'm a huge fan. Love your work. And hey, if you find yourself in the middle of a crisis and you can't shoot in the way that you want, you can't appreciate your work and your entire workflow, I am in this situation. What would you do? Any advice? you really hope to get an answer? Well, here you go. I'm not actually sure I understand the question, but if you can't shoot in the way you want, I'm wondering, I'm gonna just take a guess that you mean like if there's a client who's asking you to shoot a particular way. First of all, I don't let myself get in that situation. I actively manage not letting myself get in that situation by setting up all kinds of expectations before about what it's going to be like to work with me, and that they're buying my vision, not necessarily just a monkey with a finger. So I spend oodles and oodles of time, all of the prep work in the hiring phase. I am interviewing the client just as much as the client is interviewing me, if not more. I say no to 90% of the things that come across my plate just because they don't fit the things that I want to be doing. So I actively manage it. And now if on a shoot you find yourself and they're saying, do this, they're writing the check. What I like to do is do the thing that they asked me to do as fast as possible. Get it in the camera and then say, okay, cool, I'm glad we got in the camera. And then I go do the thing that I do. And I don't think I've ever had a time where the thing that I produced on set is not better than the thing that they asked me to produce. Sometimes you end up using the shitty thing, but that's a whole nother decision process. You work for huge companies and it's like 85 people make a decision, which is not really a decision, it's a committee, which there's a whole nother, we could talk about that for days too. But generally speaking, most of the folks will say like, oh wow, this is an elevated version of the concept that we were out here to shoot. So I hope that answers your question. So Savannah asks, what do you do when you're in the middle of a big project and you're feeling down in the dumps and or depressed? Super heartfelt question, and I want to tell you that I feel like 90%, 99% of the videos that are made on the internet have nothing to do with this. It's all about the perfect life. And to be, totally transparent, I didn't actually realize that the videos that I was putting out for a long time, the phone's ringing, sorry. I didn't actually realize that the videos that I was making for a long time came across as an edited version of my life. I was trying to show explicitly, I started making these things pre-YouTube. It was Google Video. So what I was actually trying to show is the life of a photographer or a photographer, because no one had an idea. It was the black box of photography. It was before any ideas were shared. So I was trying to share why I was excited about my job, not the hard parts. Since then, I've come to realize that what social media is this edited highlight reel of perfection, which is frankly one of the reasons that I haven't been putting out a bunch of stuff. Aside from working really, really hard at Creative Live, I've been trying to find a way to be as real and honest and heartfelt about the things that I'm trying to communicate to a whole new audience of people, or the same audience who's interested in learning about different things than just the settings of a camera. You can find those in 1,000 videos on the internet. I want nothing to do with those things, but I want to try and tell you about the things that I feel like I've lived or done that are different than all those things, and only because I'm interested in adding value. So it's a great question, and now I'm going to get back to the meat, which is what do I do when I find myself in a funk? One, I do something besides that creating. I go live, I'll get in adventures, I'll take a vacation, I will do something besides photography that's creative. That's one thing. And thing two is create a practice. Create is a little bit of a rough word because I pretty much practice this anyway, but get in a habit of at a certain time doing a thing that is a creative thing. And creativity often will stem from that. As far as like actual depression, that's a real serious issue. I have gone through that before, and that's a much longer answer. I think that's worthy of a whole episode of Chase Jarvis Raw. So duly noted. I hope that's helpful.
What are some of the top marketing and business minds you follow?
Forte Imagery, some of the top business minds I follow. Let's see, Branson has become a huge light in my life, a leader. He's an investor in Creative Live. I'm learning a lot from him. Then there's my peers, folks like Tim Ferriss and Gary Vaynerchuk, Ramit Sethi, and then there's folks that I feel like they're Silicon Valley minds, people that have built great businesses. I think that Jeff Weiner, the CEO of LinkedIn, unbelievable leader, incredibly empathetic, very, very, very smart. I think he says a lot of really cool things out there. That's just a couple, so I'm gonna keep on trucking. All right, Richie Ramon asks, can I work for you, please? You just missed out. I just had a position open, it's closed, but keep an eye on creativelive.com/careers. because we have like 20 jobs open right now, hiring lots of people. You can work not just with me, but with 120 other super, super talented folks. So that's where you want to go for that. Jesse Walker, what's your favorite animal? Wow. I like me big cats, like a cheetah, a lion, a black panther, a leopard, all the black cats, or all the big cats. All right, I could literally go on and on and on. Now we've got a couple hundred, many hundred questions just since I asked right before I started filming this. So I'm gonna wrap it up. This is the end of Chase Jarvis Raw, episode number 2. Stay with me, because I will stay with you. And subscribe too, hit this button right here.
You can have it if you want it. It's gratis, it's for free. There ain't no strings attached, no, there ain't no catch. Take my love, take my love, take me. You can have it if you want it. It's gratis, it's for free.